You walk into a room, and without saying a word, you hand over your crown. You do it every single day, at work, in your relationships, and during casual interactions with complete strangers. You believe you are being empathetic, observant, and socially intelligent, but in reality, you are committing psychological suicide. You are operating as a mirror. When someone throws anger at you, you reflect it back or absorb its heat. When someone demands validation, you automatically tilt your glass to pour into theirs. When the social environment shifts, you reshape your posture, your tone, and your thoughts just to match the frequency of the people around you. You think this adaptability makes you safe, but it actually makes you entirely predictable, easily consumable, and fundamentally powerless. A mirror has no identity of its own. It only exists when someone stands in front of it. The moment they walk away, the mirror becomes empty, waiting for the next passerby to dictate its worth. There's a terrifying psychological tax paid by those who live as mirrors. You leave conversations feeling hollow, your hand slightly shaking, your mind replaying words, wondering why a subtle, unidentifiable slight has left you feeling completely drained. They did not yell at you. They did not insult you openly. Yet you feel as though something vital was quietly extracted from your nervous system while you were busy trying to maintain harmony. This is the exhaustion of reflection. By adapting to everyone else's frame, you have turned your mind into a public highway where anyone can drive their emotional baggage, park their insecurities, and leave their toxic residue. You are acting as a battery for the egos of people who do not even respect you. The biological cost is an unremitting undercurrent of anxiety, because your nervous system is permanently on guard, constantly scanning the environment to figure out who you need to become next just to survive the room. The hidden truth that elite psychological strategists and historical sovereigns understood is that the universe does not reward those who conform to the environment. It rewards those who force the environment to conform to them. There's a cosmic mechanism that governs human social gravity, and it functions on a starkly different operating system than the rules of common decency you were taught as a child. When you look at the people who command absolute respect, who move through chaotic spaces untouched, and who draw resources, opportunities, and loyalty to themselves effortlessly, they are not acting as mirrors. They are black holes. A black hole does not negotiate with incoming light. It does not reflect the energy thrown at it. It does not alter its composition to make the surrounding stars feel more comfortable. It remains intensely dense, localized, and unmoving, possessing a gravitational pull so massive that everything within its event horizon is pulled into its center, rewritten by its gravity, and consumed by its order. To understand the mechanics of this transformation, you must first dismantle the deep-seated cognitive bias known as the illusion of transparency. You have been conditioned to believe that wearing your heart on your sleeve, explaining your motives, and showing complete vulnerability makes you trustworthy and magnetic. This is a monumental lie designed to keep you manageable. Human beings are predatory by nature. They do not need to be malicious to exploit weakness. They simply need to be human. When you reveal your inner machinery, when you rush to fill an uncomfortable silence with nervous chatter, or when you immediately justify your decisions to an accuser, you are providing a complete blueprint of your vulnerabilities. You are handing the world the handles it needs to grab you, steer you, and shut you down. The sovereign mind knows that true power utilizes dark intelligence, the absolute mastery of what is left unsaid, using the silence that screams louder than any defense. Consider the profound psychological shift that occurs when you consciously choose to drop the mirror and anchor your density. When someone attempts to destabilize you with a passive-aggressive remark or a public humiliation tactic, your immediate evolutionary instinct is to fight or flee, to explain yourself or attack back. The moment you step into that ring, you have accepted their courtroom and acknowledged their authority to judge you. But when you adopt the properties of a black hole, you introduce absolute pattern interrupt. You receive the insult, the projection, or the chaos, and you let it fall into an absolute, unreadable void. You offer no emotional reaction, no micro-expressions of discomfort, and no defensive contextualization. You simply hold eye contact, allowing the silence to stretch long past the point of social comfort. In that prolonged silence, a fascinating social phenomenon occurs. The manipulator's ego begins to implode, because you are not reflecting their energy back to them. They have no data to read. They cannot tell if you are angry, terrified, or entirely indifferent. This complete lack of feedback triggers a profound state of cognitive dissonance and existential panic within them. They are forced to sit in the burning heat of their own absurdity. They will begin to stumble over their words, clarify their own insults, and backpedal furiously just to fill the terrifying vacuum you have created. By remaining entirely still, you have completely reversed the power dynamic. You did not have to shout. You did not have to argue. You simply allowed your psychological gravity to collapse their frame. This brings us to the core law of identity-based motivation. You cannot build an empire on a fluid foundation. If your identity is contingent upon the consensus of your social circle, your family, or your colleagues, you are hostage to fortune. Wealth, status, and absolute self-mastery isolate before they ever liberate. When you begin to harden your boundaries, when you stop being the reliable, always available pleaser who nods along to mediocrity, the people around you will get deeply uncomfortable. They will call you cold. They will call you changed. They will accuse you of being arrogant or detached. Why? Because your sudden stability shines a brutal light on their chaotic slavery. Your self-mastery reminds them of their utter lack of control. You must make a defining choice. Do you want to be coddled by the slaves or revered by the free? To step into the role of a black hole, you must ruthlessly govern your own internal resources, turning your attention, your time, and your loyalty into the rarest commodities on the planet. There is a brutal economic law governing human relationships that cares nothing for your good heart. Accessibility destroys value. When you are always accessible, always replying to messages within seconds, always agreeing to last-minute plans, and always providing free empathy to chronic complainers, you become like oxygen, essential perhaps, but completely free. And no one appreciates the air until they are suffocating. You must close the store. You must establish a strategic scarcity that forces the world to pay the full price of your presence. When your time becomes expensive, people stop wasting it. When your opinion becomes rare, people start listening to it with absolute focus. This transformation requires the deliberate execution of animalistic psychological control, mastering the internal traitor that lives inside your own nervous system. The greatest fight you will ever wage is not against the economy, the algorithm, or your toxic associates. It is against the old version of yourself that desperately craves the warm validation of the herd. That old self will whisper that isolation is dangerous, that you need a team, that you need external support to succeed. It will use your fear of loneliness like a sniper rifle to keep you compliant. But history is never written by committees. It is written by individual outliers who recognized that being alone was not a defect, but a tremendous strategic advantage. In the cold, quiet spaces of isolation, your focus sharpens to a lethal point, unbothered by the static noise of trivial minds. When you walk into a room as a black hole, you become the weather rather than reacting to it. The weak adapt to the atmosphere, the strong determine it. You achieve this not by flexing or seeking attention, but by embodying an absolute, immovable sovereignty. Your posture is grounded, Your gaze is steady, and your words are highly deliberate, stripped of any desperate need to be understood. You let others perform the theatrical masks. You watch their frantic grabs for status, and you smile inwardly because you can see the invisible strings attached to their limbs. You have transcended the game entirely by refusing to reflect it. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the volatile winds of other people's opinions. You are the gravity that holds the entire system in orbit. Stop giving out free samples of your soul to people who treat you like a clearance bin. Stop modifying your light to prevent insecure people from feeling small. Let them feel small. Let them shrink in the presence of your unyielding density. The fortress of your mind must have its gates firmly shut, allowing entrance only to those who have proven their absolute loyalty and structural value to your kingdom. The path of maximum density is steep. It is silent, and it requires an uncompromised stomach for the abyss. But the view from the center of your own universe is magnificent. Turn down the social thermostat, kill the neediness, and bury the nice guy once and for all. Stop being a mirror. Become a black hole.